Dealing with criticism and rejection is a challenge that everyone faces at some point in life. If you're watching this, chances are these situations carry significant emotional weight for you, perhaps even triggering feelings of insecurity, frustration, or doubt about your own worth. But what if there were a way to turn these experiences into opportunities for growth? This is where Stoic philosophy can become a powerful ally. Stoicism, a school of thought that originated in ancient Greece and was developed by figures like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, offers practical tools to face adversity with serenity and clarity. One of the core principles of Stoicism is the distinction between what is within our control and what is not. When someone criticizes or rejects us, the initial reaction is usually emotional. We feel attacked, wronged, or inadequate. However, the Stoics remind us that we cannot control the opinions or actions of others, only how we respond to them. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions, but rather recognizing them and then choosing a response aligned with reason and virtue. Imagine, for example, that you presented a project at work and received negative feedback. The criticism may hurt, but instead of sinking into self-pity or becoming defensive, you can ask yourself, is there anything useful in this? Often, even the harshest criticism contains valuable insights. Stoicism teaches us to separate the emotional tone from the message and to extract lessons that help us improve. If the criticism is unfounded, even then, it does not define who you are. It merely reflects another person's perspective, which may be influenced by countless factors unrelated to you. Rejection, in turn, can be even harder to digest. Whether in relationships, career opportunities, or social circles, being rejected can make us question our worth. But the Stoics invite us to shift our perspective. Instead of viewing rejection as a personal failure, we can see it as a redirection. Epictetus, who was born a slave and faced countless hardships, wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This mindset doesn't eliminate the pain, but it prevents it from paralyzing us. Practicing Stoicism doesn't require you to become indifferent to emotions. On the contrary, it's about cultivating them in a healthy way, without allowing them to cloud your judgment. When you feel the weight of criticism or rejection, try this simple exercise. Pause for a moment and take a deep breath. Then ask yourself, is this under my control? If the answer is no, accept that you cannot change the situation, but you can choose how to deal with it. If the answer is yes, act with integrity and wisdom. Another valuable Stoic concept is amor fati, or love of fate. This means embracing everything life brings, including the difficult experiences, as a necessary part of our path. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who faced wars, betrayals, and personal losses, wrote in his Meditations, "The obstacle becomes the way." In other words, criticism and rejection are not barriers, but stepping stones leading us to a more resilient and wiser version of ourselves. You're not alone on this journey. Great figures throughout history, from writers to political leaders, faced devastating rejection and criticism before achieving their goals. The difference wasn't the absence of hardship, but the way it was interpreted and overcome. Stoicism doesn't promise a life without pain, but it offers a map to navigate it with courage and purpose. Now that we've explored the foundations of Stoicism and how they can help us deal with criticism and rejection, let's go deeper into practice. Knowing the theory is important, but true transformation happens when we apply these principles in our daily lives. If you've tried adopting a Stoic mindset but still find yourself reacting strongly to others' opinions, don't blame yourself. Change is a process, and every small step counts. One of the most powerful Stoic exercises is negative visualization, which involves imagining the worst possible scenarios in advance. It may sound counterproductive, but this method has a clear purpose: to prepare the spirit to face adversity without being caught off guard. For example, if you fear being criticized during a public presentation, visualize not just the worst-case scenario, like someone laughing or dismissing your work, but also how you would respond calmly and with dignity. By doing this, you reduce the emotional impact of criticism when it actually happens because you've already faced it mentally. Another essential practice is cultivating emotional self-sufficiency. This doesn't mean isolating yourself from others, but developing an internal foundation of self-worth that doesn't rely solely on external validation. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "If you cannot find peace within yourself, you will never find it anywhere else." When you internalize that your worth is not conditioned by others' acceptance, criticism and rejection lose much of their destructive power. It's also important to differentiate between constructive and destructive criticism. Not every critique deserves your attention, and the Stoics were masters at discerning what was worth considering. A useful technique is the Stoic filter. Ask yourself whether the criticism comes from someone you respect, and whether it contains elements that can genuinely help you grow. If the answer is no, let it go. Remember the words of Marcus Aurelius: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Rejection, on the other hand, often leads us into a cycle of rumination. We mentally replay the situation, questioning what we could have done differently. Stoicism proposes a different approach. Accept that the past is unchangeable and focus on what can be done now. Epictetus taught that true freedom comes from understanding that only our actions and thoughts are under our control. If you've been rejected in a relationship or opportunity, instead of dwelling on why, direct your energy to what now. How can I use this experience to become more resilient or explore new paths? One of the greatest gifts Stoicism offers is the idea that we can turn obstacles into opportunities. Every criticism is a chance to refine your character or skills. Every rejection is an invitation to realign your path with what truly matters. This is not just a superficial exercise in toxic positivity. It's a radical shift in perspective, grounded in deep acceptance of reality. Finally, remember that Stoic practice is ongoing. There will be days when you feel immune to others' opinions, and others when a single negative word feels like a blow. That's human. What matters is to persist, always returning to the principles that strengthen your mind and heart. Over time, you'll notice that criticism and rejection haven't disappeared, but your relationship with them has transformed. You'll feel lighter, freer, and, above all, more in control of yourself. Life will continue to present challenges, but now you have an ancient philosophy as your guide, not to avoid pain, but to walk through it with wisdom and emerge stronger on the other side. This is the essence of Stoicism in practice. Not armor against the world, but a light that helps us walk through it with serenity and purpose. If this content resonated with you, leave a like to help spread these ideas, subscribe for more reflections on philosophy and practical life, and comment below. How do you deal with criticism and rejection? Your experience might inspire others. Together, we can turn challenges into growth. See you in the next video.